Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Headlines After Midnight. I'm Roger Hanson, and I am your host for tonight or this morning, whichever you call it, because we are from different parts of the world. Tonight, I have with me my panel, and when I get back on Jitsi, I'll be able to name them. But tonight with me is Mr. Robot, Mark Edworthy, and V. And we will be having an interesting conversation because this is actually the night that I want to go over first some of the old talking points that I've had with Mr. Robot in the past that I swore I was going to use as talking points for Headlines After Midnight. Then after that, we want to get into a conversation with V. He wanted to cover some stuff that's been going on with Donald Trump, and we can get with that. But before we do that, we have to go through some of the stuff that I wanted to cover concerning talking points that we had with Mr. Robot, because I've got tons of them. The man never stops. He just keeps running and running like frickin' Duracell battery. Like I couldn't even tell you how much stuff.
How much coffee do you drink on a daily basis?
He's kind of nervous tonight because he said that
Depends how much I've got, you know.
he's nervous too because he is running out of coffee. So
Yeah, I'm literally on my. I've got one more cup left, and then it's an all-nighter without coffee.
since you're here, though, I want to talk about something that you brought up in chat, and I want to find out exactly the details behind this. You weren't here when I brought it up the last time, but you had mentioned in chat about this quasi-judicial body in Italy that fined Cloudflare $17 million, and for I went and I checked it out and everything, and it's actually pretty interesting. And because what they did is they find him, they find they find him or them $17 million for failing to go along with their
Did
scheme
you review the case notes?
to censor the internet.
I found the case notes, but it was all written. It was all a PDF written in Italian. I was going to translate it, but
Yeah.
didn't get around to doing it.
Well, I mean, if you want to kind of elaborate on that, because I know I talked to you about it already, but if you want to kind of put your input in and then have Mr. Robot
I
talk.
can't remember how to go back to the one said in chat.
Well, basically, what
I mentioned the law, didn't I? I mentioned what was it? Law, Italian law 96, 97.
well, what
In Italian law.
yeah,
Oh, it was the piece of legislation that the Italian court were trying to do on Cloudflare.
So what did they want censored again? It's been a while since I looked at it.
It was related to copyright.
yeah, on
Yeah, but what?
on
They were
January, I,
violating copyright.
I can give you some of the information.
It was something specific. Like there was one company, wasn't it, that they wanted to censor?
On
It
January
was
the 8th,
Cloudflare.
2026, a quasi-judicial body in Italy fined Cloudflare $17 million for refusing to comply with the country's piracy shield system, a mechanism requiring internet infrastructure providers to block access to websites accused of hosting pirated content within 30 minutes of notification without judicial oversight,
Wow.
due
I think
process,
it
appeal, or
was a lot
transparency.
more complicated than that.
Now, Cloudflare CEO Matthew Prince described the scheme as a censorship gambit and criticized it as enabling a shadowy cabal of European media elites to dictate online content globally. risking the integrity of Cloudflare's 1.1.1 public DNS resolver and potentially blacking out any site on the internet. Now the
Well, the EU has that does control the internet. I mean, the the new terms that you have to agree to. I mean, these internet providers. There's so many EU laws on it. It's insane.
This wasn't about the EU. This was the EU could, if I remember rightly, the EU could prosecute Cloudflare on the the Market Service Act, Digital Market Service Act that came in force 2-3 years ago. But Italy is actually enforcing this on piracy, copyright or intellectual property legislation.
Yep. And now the last part that I've gotten I pulled up as note for it was that the fine was calculated as up to like 2% of Cloudflare's global revenue, despite the company's 8 million in Italian sales in 2024.
It's actually 2% of global company revenue, or a maximum fine of certain billion, whichever is greatest and whichever is more possible.
Okay, so it also goes on to say that it exemplifies what Prince's term was as extrajudicial overreach.
But we are seeing this problem already much more severe. Look at what's happened to the UK Online Safety Act.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was going to say this is a common theme that's happening now.
But all these divisive purpose to it.
Now, what was you going to say, Mr. Robot?
I'm just saying, like, you're seeing it all over the how do you call it, globalist controlled West. They try to create these bureaucratic bodies that are meant to sort of regulate themselves, and if people don't comply with them, they'll fine the crap out of them until and just make it so expensive that people comply. And that's just like a common theme with censorship nowadays. That's the running strategy, it seems. And these bureaucrats, they pass laws so quickly, like the public doesn't have time to catch up or complain or anything like that, and it just keeps stacking up until we have so few recourses left. It's a real freaking problem, man.
Poor written laws are especially in the UK over the last 5, 6, 7 years. Poorly written legislation, so easily to be interpreted.
We need to start rolling laws back, because these freaking people just keep putting laws out that we didn't ask for. And
absolutely, I agree.
You vote for these people. So
nah, has anyone I've ever voted for gotten in? So.
Really?
Well, I mean, this really does go back to what I've been saying, though, that you guys always argue with me about, codification. I think Mark Edwards is the only one that agrees with me about the whole idea of codifying your constitutions.
Does help, but not necessary. Look at the UK, in theory.
Right. Well, I mean, you guys don't have a codified constitution, though. See, that's the whole point. It's like if it was codified, if it was a codified constitution that can't be changed, then they can't pull this stuff. You know what I mean? And they did that on purpose because at one time it fit their freaking their narrative, but now it's turned on them. And people are starting to have issues because all of these politicians are changing laws at a whim.
Technically, never had it codified. I suppose when Magna Carta came out in 60 or not 66, but 12th century, wasn't it? That was a codified, but since then we haven't actually ever had a codified constitution. It's not the British way.
Yeah.
That's the European thing.
Well, I think that's what makes America the greatest nation that was ever.
Well, because you copy us.
No, we
No,
codified our constitution as well.
Okay.
That's
what
what.
did France.
That's what made us like the greatest nation on.
Would you say
on
France is
Earth.
one of the
Yeah,
greatest
you
countries
wanted
in the
it,
world?
though. It's
No.
like you let your election integrity go away, and now anyone can just buy their way into government.
Well,
there.
that's because our country has been invaded by the Europeans and their socialists and
did,
nationalist
the US.
views.
It's been
Like,
invaded by everyone.
Europeans built the US.
well, I
We
mean,
British built the US.
that was after we've established our government. When you guys infiltrated our government and started, taking over.
Your government, a lot of your government is based upon British values anyway.
I know. It's pathetic, isn't it?
No, it just means that Britain is the greatest nation on the world.
No. You guys are
Everyone
horrible.
tried to escape Britain. That's how it all
Yeah,
started.
well, you can't say that though, because like you're in Australia, you guys were kind of confined to an island. Like the history of Australia is horrible. What England did to the people of Australia, they should be ashamed of themselves. But hey, you
can
guys,
say that anywhere really.
you can, but you guys bounced back. That was the good part. You guys did bounce back and recovered from the horrible, horrible atrocities that England did to you guys.
We brought civilization to
Is that what
the
you call it?
world. 3/4 of the world.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty impressed with Australia in the sense that most countries, when they undergo this like massive change from like hunter-gatherer to civilization, that's like usually like a few thousand years drawn out experience. Look at Israel in the Middle East. They're still at war, Here it was like 100 years and they've gone from like horse cart and wagon to basically space age. And there's very little like excess baggage left from the past, we get along pretty well with our indigenous people. There's still a few issues to work out, but it's not a huge amount of animosity and stuff, which is great.
Mm-hmm. Now, I was wanting to make a comment about like this thing with Cloudflare. What it reminds me of is a lot of shit freaking that came out back during the time that they were supposedly doing like the investigations for Hillary Clinton. If you guys remember, they wanted to like freaking force everybody that was involved in those investigations to surrender their phones.
Just recently.
Yeah,
Or when she had the email hacked.
The email hack, yeah.
So she had a whole bunch of government classified information on her personal email server, which is illegal, but no consequences, funnily enough. Whereas Donald Trump had files that he was meant to have, and
I think that trial is still technically going on.
Had his place raided. Hillary Clinton. And then recently they asked the Clintons, like Congress actually asked the Clintons to come in to testify to the Epstein files. And they said, no, we're not doing it, which is also illegal. Because, it was, I think it's called a subpoena. They were subpoenaed.
Yeah.
You're meant to show up, and they didn't.
Have to show up.
So, like, these people
arrested.
are above freaking law, and why? Why is Trump not holding these people accountable?
Well, this is what I wanted to comment on. I think a lot of this is just is just a total bullshit.
It's game.
And it's not going to go anywhere. It's just a complete fraud. And I believe you said that too in the chat section, Mr. Robot. It's just a complete fraud and it's not going to go anywhere. You know?
I feel like if it was going to go somewhere, it would have gone somewhere at least a little bit. But it's just like Pam Bondi just holding everything up. Trump is not pushing to get anyone indicted or like anything. After all the things they've done to him, like shot him, went through his like wife's underwear drawers.
That was I would have done that.
All this stuff, and he still doesn't even want to go after him. Like,
well, I mean, if I was a part of the Department of Justice, I would want to go through his wife's underwear drawer too. Just putting it out there.
Can't believe that
Snatch him by the underwear.
You know what I mean?
Snatch him by the panties.
Yeah. Now, for me, what really stuck out to me on that whole situation was Hannity. Okay, with Hannity, I was so sick and tired of hearing this guy because he kept talking about this dossier, and they're gonna get Hillary and lock her up and all that crap, and nothing came out of it. Nothing happened, and all he was doing was just running his freaking mouth so that he could get freaking views. He could get people to watch his show, and that was it. He bled that until the final end when nobody freaking even gave a shit about him anymore. You know what I mean? And that's the thing that really irritated me the most about it. So that's my take.
To me, it's pretty clear that the whole government, including Trump, is like pretty much completely controlled by Israel.
Now we're gonna get back to Donald Trump, okay? But like I said, I have more talking points that I want to cover before we get into the Donald Trump thing, okay? Because you came up with some weird shit, and we got to cover this, okay? Now, you made a post before about the Harvard professor who had claimed that humanity could face an attack from an intergalactic alien force as early as November 2025. Okay.
You should put it up on screen if you've got it.
Now,
like when you hear it, it sounds so bizarre that you're like, that can't be real. Okay. And like, sure enough, that was like a fucking news article just recently.
Now this had to do with freaking with the Three Eye Atlas. Okay. Now this right here is actually something that really stuck out to me because it wasn't necessarily that I when it came to AI Atlas or Three Eye Atlas, I basically let freaking all these other people run their mouths and let it kind of like filter in before I made my comments on it. You know, and one thing that stuck out to me through the whole process of it, because it's old news now, but the one thing that really stuck out to me was something in that article you posted about that yeah, I can post the link here in a minute, but what it was is in the article it mentioned freaking the ESA, the Planetary Defense Office, the PDO. Now apparently there is a planet defense in Europe, and it's primarily coordinated by the European Space Agency, the ESA, and it's called the Planetary Defense Office. Now, under its Space Hera mission, Europe, led by ESA, actively participates in international exercise, recently conducting its largest drill that took place in 2025 in response to interstellar objects. Okay, now a lot of people have been talking about this being like a UFO and everything, but there's actually been sightings of of objects like this, 3 of them so far. Okay. And I find it kind of interesting that nobody even remembers the fact that there were 2 of them that was reported previously to this one. You know what I mean?
Just one point. European Space Agency is not part of the European Union, and also has 23 member states, including non-EU members such as UK, Norway, Switzerland, and Canada. So they don't just serve Europe interests, or as far as Canada's concerned, anyway.
Okay.
Did you see this article that came out like less than a week ago?
What was it?
Put my screen up there.
Well, it's on there. I can see it.
The disclosure of aliens could cause a Bitcoin rush, former Bank of England analyst says. She warned of extreme price volatility in financial markets due to catastrophizing or euphoria and a collapse in confidence. They literally want to blame it on aliens.
What has been happening to the West since, 2007?
No. Okay,
This is on the best it's comical, on the worst it's scaremongering.
no.
Well, either that or they also know something we don't know. But I don't. The funny thing to me is all this shit already came out like a year, 2 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They had the congressional hearings on UFOs and all that stuff, all the whistleblowers. No one cared. Like, no one did anything about that. You know, there was no panic, no nothing. And all these years, our entire lives, we've been told, oh, we can't handle the truth. The public will panic. Therefore, we need to keep this stuff secret. But no one even batted an eyelid, man. Most people don't even know about it anymore. So it's interesting to me that they're coming up with this stuff now.
What's the internet saying? FUD, fear, whatever the other 2 words are. FUD.
I would call it a classic scapegoat, strategy, because, like, the financial markets are, on the verge of collapse, pretty much. Anyway.
Financial markets
are like, it's got to be aliens.
Look at what's happening in the UK.
It's got nothing to do with hyperinflation and like everyone buying metals.
Okay, so the thing, now that you guys are bringing that up, let me add this in, because this is something that I did want to pull up, and the whole thing about this is when it comes to the ESA, okay. Now, they also say that they have strategic drills and exercises that they participate in. Now, it says that Europe conducts large-scale international exercises to simulate responses to potential impact scenarios.
Yeah.
Okay, ensuring coordination between space agencies, military radar, and emergency responders. So if they have this kind of capability where they're simulating these things, what's to say that this object that we're looking at and that everybody thinks is out there isn't actually out there? It's just a simulation that's being pushed onto us.
Well, we've got a pretty robust detection system for, near misses or potential hits from cosmic objects. I can't remember the program's name, though. But do you remember, like, a few years ago, they did that test where they flew the satellite into a comet to try and deflect it? It was called the Mosquito Project.
No.
So I got a question for you guys. So, does a false flag wave in outer space?
Yeah. Well, if you look at the old moon landings, no.
Yeah.
But that goes back to what you feel about the moon landings. Do you think they were real or were they faked?
Well, so I think so. Everybody has a piece of it. Everybody's right and everybody's wrong. We absolutely went to the moon. However, the footage that we were shown was not. They had some meetings with some entities up there,
Yeah.
and no, of course we don't have any footage of that. So what we got was
We
fake.
do have footage of them sighting stuff out the window, though. Remember? And they had to like cut the feed at one point because they're like, "Oh, they're back!" You know, like we see these things buzzing around. And so yeah, I actually think that movie Iron Sky,
Mhm.
where with the space Nazis and that, I think there's something to that movie. Like there's a facility on the dark side of the moon, and this actually comes into a little bit of what I was going to talk about. But yeah, I'll get into that in a little bit. But basically, yeah, I think there was, they did go up there, but they had to fake a bunch of the footage because they couldn't show it to the public because the real mission wasn't just like going to the moon, the real mission was finding out what the fuck is on the moon, because they already knew there was facilities up there. And so they made contact with whatever is up there. And but we'll get into that in a bit.
Now, initially referred to by the temporary designation A11P13Z, 3I Atlas drew immediate attention from astronomers because of its peculiar motion. Rapid follow-up observations and reanalysis of previous data led to the preliminary conclusion that the object was not bound by the sun's gravity. That makes it an interstellar object, only the third ever seen after one Oumuamua in 2017 and two Borisov in 2019. If confirmed, it will be the third known interstellar object from outside our solar system that we have discovered, providing more evidence that such interstellar wanderers are relatively common in our galaxy. Now, 3I Atlas is the largest and brightest interstellar object yet, which means it can help scientists unlock clues about the formation of our solar system. And I do have the link for that article that I will put in the comment section for you guys if you want to check it out. Because I've got the other one for the Italian mafia up above it. So
yeah,
that's the one that came from that Mr. Robot posted. The thing about it is though, it gets for my final says on that one is it does seem odd that these three objects are the only ones that they've seen. And previously, before that, everybody said that if a huge freaking object was to come towards the Earth, we would never be able to detect it in time to save ourselves. Now, miraculously, we're seeing these asteroids come into our solar system. I find that kind of odd, too.
It's a bit more nuanced than that. It depends on their speed and size, right? Like some things go like freaking 30,000 kilometers an hour and they're tiny, they're really hard to detect. But things that are really bright and big and slow, they're much easier to detect. So like some things they detect like 30 years before they're going to hit us, there's a big list online you can look at.
Well, 30 years is 30 years is
never fucking saw them,
30 years is a big difference though. They were predicting Atlas freaking months ahead of time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At one time they were saying that we were completely blind, dude. There was no way that we could defend ourselves from a freaking impact. And now all of a sudden they're detecting these objects.
I think with Musk's rockets, we have a fighting chance now. Like he can put a rocket up in a day or two if he needs to. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think we've got a chance. Like as long as we can detect it within a week, maybe a few days, we've got a fucking chance at least.
I'm just gonna say like you know what my new motto is, and I found it. I don't buy it.
What do you mean?
I just don't buy it.
You don't buy what?
I don't buy the whole thing about them being able to detect it. I see it more as a possibility as a simulation. It's a psyop is what I'm seeing this as. A way
Ah,
to
man. So it's it's a long established project. I'm gonna look it up. It's gonna, there's a database online you can look up with all of the things they've detected.
I mean,
I'm not saying definitely gonna miss stuff, but to say that they've never even looked is like that doesn't make any sense.
well, what's his name, Hikaku or whatever? Like he even came on and made his commentary, and the weird part about that is,
Ichikaku?
yeah, Muchikaku. Okay, and the weird part about him is, and I like him, but don't get me wrong about that. I do like him, but the thing that's weird about that is he's a transhumanist. Okay, and a lot of these people who have made comments about this are all transhumanists.
And well, don't believe them.
You know, well, it's true. You don't believe them because they want to they want to make you into a cyborg, dude.
Get this. The project that I'm talking about is actually called Atlas, Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, a robotic survey system funded by NASA and operated by the University of Hawaii's Institute for Astronomy. It uses a network of 5 0.5 meter telescopes in Hawaii, South Africa, Chile, and Spain to scan the sky nightly, focusing on detecting smaller asteroids just days to weeks before they might impact Earth. That's one of the projects. It's not the only one. There's another one that is called Sentry and Scout Systems, which look for near-Earth object studies. NEO Surveyor, which is a planned space-based infrared telescope set to launch in 2027. So that's not up yet, but so there's a bunch of these programs that look for potential impact objects,
Mm-hmm. So,
but there have definitely been a few cases that I can remember where they missed it, or they only became aware of it when it got close to the sun, because that's when things light up usually and get like a bit brighter.
mm-hmm.
Mm.
So since you guys have been quiet, what do you think about it, Mr. Robot or V and Mark Edworthy? What's your take on this? Do you think it's hot poppycock, or do you?
I think if you really want to know more about this kind of stuff, you have to understand what it's really for.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I don't know. There's so many movies that have been done about this. What alert are we truly going to get? I know the governments don't get their alerts. They'll be on top of it. However, what's that going to do for me? What's that going to do for you? There's so many of these continuation of government facilities. AT&T got real excited to be deputized by the NSA. There are so many governmental facilities sponsored by AT&T and other telecoms, and they're really getting down with the telecoms people, because I'm sure because of satellite cooperations and other things. But look at those continuations of government sites. They might have some strategically placed in certain areas to make sure that they're protected from certain impacts from a different direction. Maybe that they see something coming 30 years from now, 50 years from now, and they're not telling anybody. And these people already just want to wipe out most humanity anyways. I think we shouldn't be so concerned about the detection systems, because they're just going to input whatever data that they need to and create a false flag. The hell with a nuclear weapon? Who knows? Just so they can start getting rid of some of us and create these zones where they huddle people up and treat us like cattle, right? Because we won't outnumber them so much anymore, and they'll have all the technology and powerful weapons, and you know everywhere that it's going to go from that direction. So I think we need to be more concerned about uh, actually getting academics, more and more academics in the field of this stuff, because I mean we're in the dark ages of technology right now. Okay, we need to bolster the education. We need a renaissance of technology because things are getting away from us right now. Things have gotten away from us. Nobody on this call can fabricate a cell phone if they wanted to. That's terrifying. Only the government corporations can.
Say that again about cell phones. Sorry.
That's
What'd
what
you
I was
say?
getting ready to say. Like, I can do it, right? I mean,
You
I was doing that stuff with beepers back in the freaking 90s, dude.
you can make a cell phone,
Yeah,
a touchscreen Android phone right now.
yeah. I can actually
Yeah.
build one from scratch.
I think I've got an Orange Pi board, which has got a 4G
Not a cell
module.
phone.
I
You guys are
can
missing the point.
I
Not a
can
cell
do
I
phone.
it.
can make a crappy one, but I've got a few open source phones that run Linux.
You know,
It's doable.
it's you can do it. It's not gonna be like the actual company brand quality, but you can
You
do it.
don't want the company brand anyway. That's all fucking backboard and shit
How
now.
much money you want to spend on it.
See,
Well,
you've walked into a freaking beehive, B. You know what I'm saying? Like
no, you
you
guys
you
are totally
realize
missing the point.
you realize the talent that's in this room, right? These people, like I was making beepers back before freaking cell phones were even popular, and I learned that from a guy who went to DeVry. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Well, then I'll challenge you. Make me a freaking cell phone.
I can do it, but I don't want to freaking say anything over the internet about it.
I want you and Mr. Robot. I want a cell phone. Okay,
Oh, you want one?
I want one. Make me one.
Well,
Yeah. I mean,
200.
it's better to get one that's like, you know,
Okay, well then back to my
professionally made.
point. Back to my freaking
well,
point.
see, the thing is
Like,
it's not
have a look
really.
at ones that are like DIY, right? Online. They're big and they're clunky. It can be done with a Raspberry Pi and stuff like that.
You could projects like the Pine phone and the Fairphone, which are user replaceable
Yeah.
internals.
But I've got a Librem phone, which is an open source Linux phone.
Only
You can get the
software
Pine phone as well, which is open source.
Pine phone.
They're much nicer to use than building one. Fuck that.
Well, I mean, when I say make a cell phone, I mean total fabrication. The wires, the chips.
Oh, that's
I mean,
ridiculous.
everything.
Now you're just
Okay, how
talking.
much money do I just put up
We're
it?
talking about
If you can make
fabricating
If you
Back
guys
in
can
the
make a computer chip in your living room, I will come over there. I'll
That's just ridiculous.
slap you on the back.
Probably $1,000.
I'll
You
buy
gotta
you a
realize,
bottle of vodka.
our
I'll
entire
slap you on the back.
civilization is built on not understanding how anything works. If we had to suddenly make everything from scratch, we'll be back in the Stone Age tomorrow. You know?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So this is why there will be a major advantage over us, and we're just letting it happen. We're just letting everything go by the damn wayside. And with these corporations and these governments, they want to regulate what we can own. You know, just like, for example, like a laser pen. There's a certain there's laws regulating how powerful your laser pen can be.
Mm.
Yeah, but that's full
Well, that's
safety.
kind of fair enough. You can like take an airplane out of the sky with a good laser.
You could,
Ah,
but that would be our ability to fight back against a corrupt system.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you really wanted to do it, you can buy a diode from China and make your own laser. That's
Oh
fucking
yeah,
crazy.
I've watched 1,000 laser videos. I probably could make a laser right now.
But more importantly, like back in the day, you used to be able to get any kind of lab gear and equipment you want, any chemicals, and like, just do your own alchemical experiments at home. And no one said shit. And now everything is so like locked up and regulated. It's like there's very little like homemade innovation these days. Like very little.
you know what really irritates me though? It, what,
And-
what really irritates me is the fact that that freaking nobody even talks about the anarchist cookbook anymore.
Well, there's do you know there's a second anarchist cookbook?
Oh, that came out like in the 90s, didn't it?
You don't even know about the anarchist cookbook?
I think that book, if you owned it in the UK, digitally or print, and there was an investigation for you on certain crimes, that could be sufficient enough proof of having a suspicion of being connected to terrorism.
Yes.
So they can't enact on it itself, but it could go and get be an excuse for a police officer to get a warrant from a judge.
That's horrible. See, I mean that's really horrible.
Just for owning a copy.
Yeah.
And see,
In the U.S., I mean, yeah, the feds could harass you. They can watch you. They try to watch you, put surveillance on you, and try to scare the crap out of you. It's not illegal to own. God knows how many times I've downloaded it, but when I was a kid,
I only
yeah.
ever downloaded it because it was illegal.
Yeah, no, that was the only appeal. And I read it, It was like it wasn't that
wasn't that impressive?
It was not impressive at all.
Yeah.
It's like half the stuff in there is like stuff, kids would do just on their own, just going outside and hanging out.
Yeah.
Well, that was the whole premise of it. You know what I mean? Like today with what I've been talking about with my stories, how I'm creating Bibles for it with rules and stuff. Like they were doing this stuff back in the freaking 90s with computer programs manually instead of using AI. You know what I mean? It was like freaking you would turn around and it was a compilation of information that was put in there that had to do with like how you could do things illegally, and it was from the basics all the way up.
Well, you know what? There are YouTube videos like that now.
Right.
Like it's a genre.
Right.
So, but the second anarchist cookbook I thought was interesting. It was all about how to make acids and poisons.
Mm-hmm. Now,
Did you guys see this article about Bezos is copying Musk's Skynet? He's making his own Skynet called TerraWave, which is like gonna be for AI data centers and cloud services, so that it can like shoot data across the planet in space.
Has Richard Branson dropped out of the game? Remember back in the 90s and early 2000s, Richard Branson, or Sir Richard Branson, as it should be called now.
He's only a third, he's a pedo, right? Like, wasn't he like Jeffrey Epstein's neighbor or something like
that? That's crazy.
So,
Jeffrey Epstein. Who cares about
this thing will be
Epstein?
able to do 6 terabytes per second.
Yeah.
Data uplink. That's pretty.
Okay.
That's the first thing that stuck out to me whenever I seen that. Whenever you pop that up. But we don't want to get into that because Mr. Robot has his theories about terabytes and millibytes. He doesn't think that they're real. They're fabricated.
Are we talking about pre-1999 EAC calculations or binary, decimal calculations.
And see, this is the reason
Well, you're
why.
done now, Roger. You've started something.
That's what I was getting ready to say. It's like this is the reason why I say you belong with us weirdos, because of that shit right there, dude. Like you start going down that direction, and the next thing you know, man, we're talking about calculations and shit. It's like
Yeah.
you fit right in with the
Because
conversation.
most people will be bored by it, I think.
Hmm. Now, with that being said, let's
I was just
move.
looking up the latest articles in space news because this is like meant to be the headlines, right?
No, this is actually we've got better shit that's fucking crazier that we need to cover. Okay, this goes into your remote viewing crap. So let's move on to it.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's get into your remote viewing stuff. Okay.
All right.
So put
well-
your seatbelt on. This is where you shine, and you need to get freaking all prettied up.
Think
Freaking
about how.
no,
we
hold
were
up. Let
just
me
talking-
let me put the topic up that you posted first, and then you talk about that,
Oh, okay.
because this is good stuff here. Okay.
Can you share your screen? Can you share
No,
that?
I have talking points, and I'll just read it and let you do it. Do whatever the sharing is you want to do. But let me go ahead and do this, okay? Now, according to Mr. Robot, everybody, remote viewing shows that it was clearly reptilian beings living underground that telepathically implanted visions into Moses and other prophets as an agenda to eventually control the planet. And as a reference, he used first Numbers 21:6 out of the Bible, and then he used Isaiah 6:2, which says, "In the year that King Uzziah died, he saw the Lord seated on a throne, high and exalted, and the train of his robe filled the temple. Above him stood seraphim, each having 6 wings. With 2 wings they covered their face, with 2 they covered their feet, and with 2 they were flying. And they were called out to one another, and they said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. All the earth is full of his glory." They weren't too kind to Isaiah. When it goes on further, it says, "Then I said, Woe is me, for I am ruined, because I am a man of unclean lips, dwelling among a people of unclean lips. For my eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts." Then one of the seraphim flew to me, and in his hand was a glowing coal that he had taken with tongs from the altar. And with it he touched my mouth and said, "Now that this has touched your lips, your iniquity is removed and your sin is atoned for." It's kind of interesting that in that same area there are lots of myths of strange dragon-like creatures like Bel and Marduk, servant dragons, and stuff of that nature, is what he went on to say. And that's where he started getting into the Dragon of Babylon and things of that nature. Now, with that being said, I'm going to open it up, let Mr. Robot kind of give us a little take on what he was meaning by all this, because this is actually a pretty good topic. So,
Okay. Let me share my screen. Is that all right?
Yeah, go ahead. I've got you up already.
Okay.
This gets pretty intense, actually. This is a pretty good comment or
Can you see my
topic.
screen?
Yeah, I can.
So, like you were saying, in Mesopotamia in the Middle East, there's a lot of different types of dragon mythology going way back into the ancient past. One of them is called Usumgalu. Was a lion dragon demon, and one of the three horned snakes in Akkadian mythology, often associated with the gates of the underworld, right? Now, remember how Roger was saying these beings were living underground? Okay, now there's a lot of information that suggests that this is true, both in the ancient past and in the modern day. As an example, is the story of Phil Schneider. Do you guys remember Phil Schneider?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So he basically, I'll get a picture up of him, Phil Schneider.
I used to
He was
have
a
one.
contractor that worked for the US military to build deep underground bases. He was an engineer. And basically, he came out and basically described to people how in this specific part of the US, actually not far from Zorro Ranch where Epstein lived, there's a US base there. And they broke, as they were digging down into this cavity, this cavity opened up. They broke into a space underground, and these aliens popped out. Some of them were like gray aliens, some of them were reptilian aliens, and they were basically like there was a huge battle ensued where they were like fighting these things, and one of them actually like blew Phil Schneider's hand off, and like.
There was some sort of reactive ray that came out of the chest of one of the aliens and hit his hand.
See, his chest is all fucked up. Let's see if we can get his hand, because like
They said that the guy that actually put him on the conveyor to go up was actually killed because he according to Snyder, he actually gave his life so that he could survive.
Yeah, that's right. And you can see his hand here. He says it's like that because he held his hand up to sort of block it, but this like energy beam came out of the chest of this gray alien and basically just shot his fingers off. And he's got the scars to prove it, basically. And man, I highly recommend anyone who hasn't listened to his story, go listen to all of his stories that survives, because they are insane. Like and totally like you can tell he's a with it smart guy, like, you know.
Let me interject here. Just for those people who are not familiar with Snyder, I know I've done some investigation on this story. He tries to present a lot of evidence that. I'll give an example. He has a father who was working with some military project, supposedly, and a high-ranking man, and he had pictures. He showed everybody pictures. However, at the time, to go along with the story, of the time period in which his father was doing these things, these secret projects with the government, he's got pictures of his father in a room with these people, but you can see there are objects that are out of place in the picture that didn't exist yet. So I kind of, huh?
Like what, for example?
Like a phone on the wall, and there was a certain kind of light fixture up, for example, that just you didn't find those at that time period, in which he claimed. So his stories, as wonderful as they are,
I've never seen the pictures of his father, but I've only watched like his conferences and stuff like that.
Yes.
And what I will say is, like, when I first listened to it, it was so out there to me that I just didn't think much of it since then. This was like 10 years ago, maybe 20 years ago that I first heard about him. And it's always been sort of filed away in my mind somewhere. But about 3 years ago, these people that I follow in remote viewing actually did a remote viewing project on Phil Schneider's story. And just so people know, like, remote viewing is an investigation technique that you use by basically going into like a meditative state and kind of like you're able to access information from anywhere in the universe. Okay, and people do it under complete blind conditions, and therefore, so the person who's investigating doesn't know what they're investigating. They can't make up a story. Okay, and yeah, like they found out it was all true, and you know, sure enough, there was reptilians exactly like he described. So that's when I started looking back at it again, because I'm like, well, you know, if this is true, maybe there's something I missed. And I've gone back and listened to all of his speeches again, and it is pretty mind-boggling, actually, when you can actually grasp that information and understand like where that fits into reality, because it's one of the few cases in history where someone that deep into these projects have actually come forward and just fully blown the whistle, you know. And he did get killed eventually, like, but he was a brave guy. He was a brave guy for coming out. But anyway, my point is that he spoke about these reptilian beings in the modern day living underground. Now, there's plenty of stories in the past as well that speak about these demons or devils or whatever underground, right? And even when I was traveling in India, I've heard local Indian stories also speaking about Naga sadhus,
But
which are these like reptilian.
every culture
priests.
on the planet has,
Yeah.
you know, myths that revolve around something of that nature. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Now,
So
you also mentioned Bell and the Dragon. And the thing about that too is that actually is incorporated in as chapter 14 in the extended book of Daniel. And that's the original Septuagint.
I don't actually use that as a hard and fast example, because even in the Bible that kind of got disproven, right? Because the priests were using the dragon as an excuse to go steal the offerings from the altar. But the only reason the king thought it could be real is because that was based on even older myths that incorporated dragon mythology. But it wasn't mythology to them, it was real, because they experienced these dragons thousands of years ago. Okay, so in the time of Moses and before, these things were real. Freaking reptilian aliens came out of the sky and decimated entire civilizations. Okay,
Mhm.
and this has been sort of verified with the remote viewing data. Okay, and here is an example I like to always refer to. This is in the Bible in Revelations 12:7. It's called the War in Heaven. And it says, and there was a war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought his angels, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. Okay, now where were they cast out from? They were cast out of the heavens, or AKA space, right? That's where this war was going on, in space. And they were cast out of space into the earth. Now, we don't know what that means, whether that means the surface of the earth or actually inside of the earth in like some kind of cave system or something, but that's what it says. And I hear a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ. Mind you, this is before Jesus Christ. All right. So Christ means something else here. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night. All right. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto death.